how are you? For everyone who doesn't know Rankin, the international photographer, cultural provocateur, producer, agency director, owner, publisher, all sorts of fantastic things. It's so great to have you here at Rankin.
Hello.
Hello. We started our journey talking about well-being, mental health over a year ago, about 18 months ago, when we were working on a creative project together with oyster catchers. And then on the book, Let's Reset, where you took the most amazing photographs of leaders talking about their own well-being and resilience stories to raise the profile of just talking about mental health in the workplace. Before we get into that, I'm just, you know, as a photographer, as a creative, how have you been coping during lockdown?
Is the sound okay?
Yeah, it's good.
It's all good, yeah. Well, it's been strange, actually, as it has been for everybody. I'm quite privileged in the sense that I'm in this lovely house in the country. I've got a garden. My team have all been sadly, and most of them been flats in London, finding it very difficult. But the thing that I've really done, which has really kind of helped me, has been to, my dogs might bark, sorry. I've got dogs, that really helps. But the thing that I've really done is I've really tried to structure my days so that I make sure that I compartmentalize exactly what I need to do. And I've been taking photos, still lifes, which has kind of kept my brain, my photographic brain working. And then I've also we've been pitching on quite a big job, actually, which we just got confirmation that we won this morning.
Oh, wow, well done.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about it, but it's really exciting. So we've furloughed a lot of people, 20 people. If it wasn't for furlough, we would be in a really tough place. Yeah, we're just compartmentalizing the day and trying to make sure that we give each other, you know, enough time off and enough time not online like this all the time. And that's really worked, actually, for me, and I think the team have found it really useful as well.
And look, in our book, you talk about being a self-confessed workaholic. How have you managed to look after your own well-being during this time?
Well, it's been really not, in a way, it's been really nice because, which is terrible to say. I feel really bad about it because I've got a garden and I've been spending a lot of time in between things, spending time with my wife, spending time with the dogs. So my wife said to me, actually, last week, Julie said to me, you know, you actually don't look tired anymore because for the first...
You do. You look really amazing, Rankin.
Oh, thank you. You look very good yourself. I think because the first 3 weeks I just slept for 12 hours a day because my way of dealing with stress is to sleep, which is great because it means that I just go away and literally reset my body overnight, and that has been fantastic. And I think the panic that everyone had for the first 3 weeks, my way of dealing with it was just sleeping. So I've caught up a lot on sleep, but yeah, I mean, it's been tough for everybody, but the people that I find the most, I feel bad for, obviously the frontline workers, but definitely my team that are on their own in an apartment or in a flat, even with their boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever, their flatmate. They're the ones that they've got no space, and I think that they found it really tough. So we've been trying to do stuff with them, but it is hard. It's hard. People don't always want to come online and talk.
No, and it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, you know, one of the things when we put the book together, oh, by the way, you won't have seen it, but it's our campaign. So the book's going into a campaign which you've done it with the Rankin agency, and it's just gone live today. So it's there at Hammersmith and a whole bunch of places.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the big store one. So thanks massively to Clear Channel. But you'll see it. I'll send you the picture. Literally, I got it as we were coming live.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
That's
it looks
such
amazing.
good news.
It's really cool. But one of the things we talked about in the book, and we had the Fomo, which is the back of everyone's head,
Yeah.
talking about the fear of missing out and trying to encourage people to not spend so much time on social media, not have to always, you know, think that they've got to have the perfect life. And you are very keen on not having massive amounts of touch-ups and that kind of stuff. How do we think about that now? Because social media has become quite important to us at the moment.
It's interesting because we've been talking about, I was talking about this with the editor of the magazine this morning, Natasha, and it's a really interesting situation, because without it, we would be very disconnected. But the weirdest thing is, we were all kind of ready. We were all ready for something like this, and we were all kind of like, we all had our WhatsApps, we all had our FaceTimes, we all had all these things. Maybe Zoom was new, but we were all ready. Everybody was ready for something like this in terms of the technology. And it's really just sped up a lot of stuff. So in a way for us, it's like we're going to take lots of learnings from it and utilize them to give people more flexible working hours and stuff like that. But the reality of it is that, for me anyway, this is like the planet slapping, like Mother Earth is just going like that and going, it's time for you guys to stop. Because if you don't stop this stuff, all the stuff, and this includes social media and Fomo, you know, we're going to get a pestilence that we haven't seen since Egyptian times on the planet. And for me, it's like there's a whole lot of nihilism and, like, you know, this being connected all the time. With the mental health stuff also comes this selfish stuff as well. And I think that, yeah, you can order everything you want, but is that actually the right approach? Is that this disconnect we have with our planet and with ourselves and with what is that created this scenario? Has it made this, is it sped it up? Has it made it more difficult? Does it mean that we don't listen to each other? We don't debate in the same way? I mean, some of the stuff you hear about, you know, governments not, you know, lots of governments not being aware of it or kind of ready for it is quite scary. And that comes with a lot of changing over of the guard and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit like, I feel a little bit, I still feel the same. And I feel, if anything, I feel like we're in a bit of a kind of horror movie, or a kind of, you know, what I'm worried about is that actually that's what we're turning into. You know, we're turning into a society that actually lives through these action movies, you know, but they're actually real. And we're all waiting for someone to go, you know, this is the solution. You know, all we got to do is this. And it's like, I'm telling you, no one's going to give us that solution. We need to find that solution ourselves. So on a bigger picture thing, I'm like, that's important. But on a smaller picture, of course, it's very useful for us all to be able to communicate. And we definitely want to transfer it over once we stop working, no doubt.
Yeah,
it is useful. It is useful.
Yeah, it is useful. And I think, you know, one of the things, we did a workshop with some of your team last week, and, you know, I was really struck, and as I am with lots of businesses that we've seen and worked with, that innovation and kind of creativity is a really good byproduct of what's been going on. So there's lots of real challenges, but I think there's two things. One is around innovation and creativity. We've seen agile ways of working. You know, you've been creating work really quickly and getting it out there. You've been doing some stuff with the NHS, I think. You know, what kind of things have you been doing in that kind of innovation space?
Well, in an innovation space, I think the first thing that we definitely did was this pitch, which was incredible to work with the teams over this social, you know, this new way of working over Zoom or Google Hangout or whatever. And that, I found what was interesting about that was that they were fantastic at certain elements of it. Like, for example, putting a treatment together. Wow, we had the best treatments in the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks we've probably ever had, because people had time to focus on it. And we were like, this is great. We're gonna learn from this, and we're gonna give people time to do that. But at the same time, the big thinking stuff they found really hard over this technology. They didn't feel comfortable talking about it. And what I realized about halfway, well, probably 2/3 of the way into it, was we're not working from home. What we're doing is at home working through a crisis. And that means that we really need to consider the way that we're talking to each other, and we can't have this big thinking, you know, in the same way. We've got to do it in a much more one-to-one way, in the way you would have a discussion. So what we did is we reduced the groups down very quickly to 2 or 3 people. We started talking anything that was big thinking. We made it 2, 3, maximum 4 people, and then treatments, throw them at them. And then the other stuff we did is we did a pitch in 7 days. So we offered a brand a pitch in 7 days. We said, look, we can give you a solution in 7 days. And that was absolutely amazing. And we pulled in some really heavy hitter creatives on it,
right,
just to give us, you know, some real sort of black pencil type creatives. And that was incredible to do. It was just beyond working like that. And the speed that we got the things done was really amazing. So that was a bit of an innovation. And then I guess for me, like, the most exciting thing is I've kind of realized that I can be a bit more self-sufficient, and I don't need an infrastructure around me all the time. Like, as I said, I've been photographing flowers, which have been like, wow.
I know you sent me the one burning. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So
amazing.
Well, I think the other thing is that the response you have to something like this is really important. So I've been channeling that response creatively through my flower photos, but the NHS thing was really good, because kind of 2 weeks into it, I was like, I'm a portrait photographer. What the hell am I sitting at home photographing flowers for? So I offered my services pro bono to the NHS England, and it took about 6 weeks to go out and do it. But once we got out, what was interesting was immediately trying to work out how to have a safer shoot. I mean, everybody that's banding around safe shooting, you can't have completely safe shooting. Nothing safe. Going to the supermarket's not safe. So shooting is never going to be entirely safe through this period, but we shouldn't let that stop us. So what we did was we came up with a safer way to shoot. Right. So we used plastic sheeting. That was the most, we were like, if it's working in supermarkets, we'll just put it up. And I talked to, so I didn't want to get PPE, because I think that, you know, the lack of PPE, or the thought that there was a lack of PPE made us just go, look, we've got to do our own. We've got to do it ourselves. We bought our own stuff that was very basic, gloves and masks. And masks you can wear, you can make your own masks anyway. But we used plastic sheeting, and that was the big thing that a lot of the people told me, like the people that are working in A&E or working in ICU, they were like, just use plastic sheeting and use lots and lots of hand cleanser. Like, that's the most important thing. And don't go to work if you feel ill. So the most basic sort of solution to the whole thing was plastic sheeting.
That's great though, isn't it? But what a fantastic.
Oh, I did one more thing as well. We did a beauty shoot over FaceTime, but what we did was we did it a bit differently from everybody else, and I shouldn't really tell everybody, but what I did is I used FaceTime to get the position of the subject, the model, and then we scrolled into the photo app, and then we took photos in it. So I got her boyfriend to take photos, and then what we did was we put the makeup on virtually, and the photos just came out actually today, and you can't tell the difference. Wow. It's the first time I've used Photoshop to fake something that I'm quite happy about.
That's brilliant.
It looks really good.
It's got a good Photoshop.
For a good use of Photoshop, for a good beauty client, for good beauty clients out there, because basically the other thing is that glam, so hair, makeup, styling, it's going to be at distance, and if it comes back at all, you know, for hair and makeup, I would say we might be talking September before you can have proper hair and makeup on a shoot.
I'm not keen about that with my roots.
No one is. I mean,
it's a real worry for me.
Turley cut my hair. I mean, it was out here. So we've been doing a bit of that FaceTime hairdressing and makeup. But what's great is the kind of positive use of makeup, Photoshop, to do makeup, and honestly, you could not tell that it's been photoshopped.
That's so interesting. But I've loved seeing, actually, you know, a lot of presenters on TV. So we had Carolyn McCall on first thing this morning. She was just talking about the amazing job that, you know, the newsreaders have done, and lots of people. And we've got, you know, they've launched just now. We did a premiere of the new ad for ITV and Get Britain Talking. But I actually love seeing people looking a lot more normal. You know,
it's good.
You
It's
know,
really
I like
good.
seeing Susanna Reid, who's beautiful anyway, doing her own hair and makeup with peers. I actually think something, you know, really authentic about that, and I think it makes us feel, you know, like more human. And it's okay that we're not okay all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. One of my creatives said, you know, when we wrote an email out to everyone saying, what are you all up to, so we can tell everyone, and she wrote back, and she's one of the ones that's the most productive. She's been doing her own shoots at home because she's very into the whole kind of fashion thing, and her photos have been absolutely amazing. And I was like, what have you, you know, tell us what you've been up to. And she wrote back saying, you know, it's okay not to be up to anything, don't you? And I was like, okay, yeah,
it is
cool. It's absolutely fine. Like, some people deal with certain things in certain ways, other people deal with it in other ways. So I'm definitely not making any judgment on anyone. Like, the way I deal with it is by having stuff to do.
Yeah, I do, and I know that feeling. I've just got Sarah Harben, who's from Benefit Cosmetics, going, we need makeup to make a comeback. You know, I think actually one of the things I have loved is seeing on social media, you know, how to do my makeup. Not that you really get it, but, you know, just some of those things that you have time to look at how you can do things that are different. I do yoga with all my cousins in the morning, and Jenny takes it. It's amazing. I would never have time to do that. I've learned how to do some yoga, and I get to see my family.
Yeah.
Other things that you've done for the first time during the last few weeks?
I haven't, I mean, I literally haven't set up my own camera for probably 5 years. So doing that for the first time for 5 years was really.
Do you remember what to do, Rankin?
I mean, my assisting team are probably all sitting at home just going, damn, who let him touch it? Because it's going to be a nightmare looking at it all out. It's all a mess. But yeah, I mean, my wife's actually been trying to persuade me to yoga because she's a yoga teacher, and she's been doing classes to hundreds of people, and that's really kind of sped up their whole transition to that thing. What have I done that I've never done before? Mowed the lawn? I haven't done that for a long time. No, not really. No, I mean, I tell you what I love is I love the idea of being bored. I still really think that's important. So I've really reveled in the bits where I am bored, and the walking the dogs and stuff like that. But I'm too weird. Do you know what I realised? I'm a control freak.
No.
I realised
you only just realised that, right?
Yeah.
Really? Why did you not realise that before?
Because I thought I was just normal. I thought I was good. I thought I was like, you know, team player. And now I'm like, actually, I hate being out of control. So
I cannot believe that you just said that. I'm almost speechless. I know one of the things that when people come with, and we've done 2 books together, the thing that people talk about, and there's quite a lot of them here listening to us now, they absolutely love, is coming to your studio, you know, seeing the team that you have around you, because you have the most amazing team, and that whole experience of having a portrait taken by you is extraordinary. And I can see that you need a few people to set your cameras up and get it all perfect.
But not now. I can do it.
But no, so you can do it. You can do it. I think they're going to be a bit worried about that, Rankin, actually.
I wish I could show you my studio. It's really funny.
Oh, God, that
flowers
so
everywhere.
Good. Yeah, that would have been great. But the thing that I've always loved about you is you can, within almost a nanosecond, you know, like a couple of minutes, if that, talking to people, see inside their souls. And you just have that amazing ability. And, you know, we've talked about this before, but share with me again, how do you manage to do that? How do you get to really go, look, that's how I'm going to capture them, and that just really is their soul?
I think probably I'm just really nosy. And I'm very inquisitive about people, and I'm very into humans as a kind of thing. I love humanity. I love chatting to people. I love knowing about them. And one of the most interesting things about doing the NHS thing was all of the stories that they told me. They're such good stories, and how humble they all are. Like, not one of them, not one of 13 people said, you know, I'm a hero. Each of them said, oh, I'm just doing my job. And in fact, if anything, my job has been really exciting in the last 2 months, and I've loved trying to help and be there. And most of them were just like, you know, we love the fact we're getting the claps on the Thursday, and we love the fact we're getting some love, but actually we're just doing our jobs, and we just appreciate that people see us doing our jobs. And that was really good. And I think I'm just really interested in them, you know, and because of that, I think when it comes to it, then when they get in front of the camera, a lot of them, especially, you know, people that aren't used to having their photo taken, they were like, oh, I'm a bit nervous. And I was like, you know, just tell me about what you do. I'm much more interested in what you do. And I met some incredible people because of that. I met this GP from Stratford who I just fell in love with. She's so brilliant, who works in the Muslim community there. And she's one of the most, a doctor was saying, she's one of the most incredible people I've ever met. So, and I'll definitely stay in touch with her because she was fab. And I think that's just it, you know. I'm just like, that's what it is. I'm just fascinated by people. But the other thing that was weird, just on a strange note, was going out. Have you been out?
Yeah. Well, not much. Well, you see, as you know, I'm having cancer treatment at the moment. So, you know, I'm a little bit more high risk on my therapy. And I'm down in Cornwall. So it's and there's virtually no one here, which is great. So no, I haven't been out a huge amount. I mean, I go out running on the beach and stuff, but
I've seen some of your photos.
Like you have.
Looks great. Your beach, by the way.
Oh,
looks amazing. It's beautiful.
I know.
Well, one of the funniest things was going out. You know, driving on a road, going in, meeting people in a room, and reminding myself how much I loved that part of what I do, the banter and the chat, and not being talking to three walls, a wife, a couple of dogs, and my mate, you know, like actually talking to someone, and that was so exciting. And I felt it was really funny. It was like we were almost quite nervous because it was only me and two others doing it, and we were all distancing ourselves and doing the plastic and stuff as well. So it was really interesting going back into the world, and I think people are going to have a real problem with that.
Well,
it's going to be a big problem.
I completely agree. And what we've done with our, you know, the photographs that we've talked and the way that we're talking about them at the moment is, you know, where we had FOMO, now having FOGO. So the real fear people have got about going out. And, you know, as you know, Jazz is now working as a PWP. So she's as a counsellor and is treating people. And she said with a lot of her patients that people are very worried. And
they definitely are.
Mental health issues are a little bit easier because they're at home and they're not going to work or they're not going outside. But for many, it's a real challenge for them.
Well, that's interesting because one of the things a few of the people I photographed from NHS were saying is that the emergency services have never had so few calls because people at home are very nervous of doing a fake call, but at the same time they're really worried that when this does finish or starts to finish more openly, that they're going to have like a massive rise in problems. So it's something that they're all talking about. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, and actually, you know, my oncologist has been amazing, but I haven't been to hospital for 3 months.
Wow, that's nuts.
So I've had a treatment like this, but you know, I do know that I have to go and get my bloods done, and I have to go and have my test. But it's a balance, isn't it, between going and doing the thing you know is right and needed, but also not overburdening for other people. And you know, I'm going to go very shortly for those people watching. But he said it was safe for 3 months to do that. But you know,
that's in itself, that's interesting because it does mean that the whole kind of medical approach to medical, seeing doctors is going to change, because that was one of the other things that a lot of them said actually, was that the speed of which you can get things done at the moment is so much better, because it's not that red tape has been cut through, it's just that we've all had to change the way we work, especially in the NHS. So, for example, one of the things they're saying is that they've been holding on to fax machines for years because doctors love to use fax machines, and now they've gone, you know, because no one wants to touch paper. So I mean, some positives will come out of this, but I hope you get to see your doctor soon.
No, I'm coming to see him next week.
Okay.
So, week after, yeah. So, but I mean, I see him all the time because
You're talking to him.
Yeah, I'm talking to him, and you know, I actually I kind of probably talk to him more now than the monthly checkup that I would have done.
Yeah.
You know, because he's making sure that I'm all right, and everyone needs to be careful. But as he said, it's a different way. They thought they had to see me every single month. So
yeah.
actually they found that maybe I don't need to see every single month, but there are people out there who do need to go with that potentially have got some sort of diagnosis, or they're worried about something and they're not going to the doctor. And they are the people who really need to go, because
really interesting.
You know, it's important, and they're worrying at home, which is really bad for them.
Yeah.
But we've got 4 minutes left, Rankin. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions. So, what's the thing you're most looking forward to when you come out of lockdown properly?
Oh, going for a meal, going to cinema, I think just like everybody else, really, being able to be in a studio again and you know, do what I think I'm the best at is definitely like high up there. But just being able to see friends is the most difficult. Friends and family, really. Yeah.
A favorite book or a film that you've watched in the last 2 weeks?
I mean, there are so many good films. Hollywood on Netflix is really good. It's really fun. I've just read a great book, but it's on here, so I can't. By the guy that wrote Moneyball. He's written one about the transfer of power in American government and how complicated it is, and that's absolutely fascinating, because between one party and another, there's always this kind of, you know, they're all suspicious, and they come in suspicious and think that everybody's terrible at their jobs, and they leave saying that they're the best people they've ever worked with. So we don't suffer from that as much in Britain, but in America it's a really big problem. It's a really big problem.
One thing you've got to keep doing after lockdown that you've learned that you now love?
I'm definitely going to be shooting a lot more flowers, because I'm getting a lot of love for the flowers. I really enjoy doing it. And I'm definitely going to be doing more meetings on Zoom, because what I love about the meetings on Zoom is that you can get things into people's diaries very, very quickly. And you can get, you know, like, you don't have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to have a meeting. You can do it in 2 or 3 days. And that cutting through the bullshit is really my favorite part.
I know, it's been fantastic. I mean, I think we've trained over 1,500 people in workshops in
That's
the last,
incredible,
which is amazing. But we've had, you know, companies like Benefit and John Lewis just get up to 100 people on a Zoom so we can train them around well-being and mental health and resilience, which we never would have been able to do before. It would have taken weeks. And we're seeing innovation through leaders, you know, and what they're doing to think about resetting the workplace that they never would have done before. And then, well, lastly, what's your one top tip for well-being, Rankin?
I would say make sure that you spend some time offline every day. Make sure you schedule some time for yourself and get into the boredom, because it's when you can be the most creative, in my opinion. Yeah,
I think that. I think boredom's a really interesting thing, isn't it? You know, we don't like to be bored, do we? We don't like that feeling.
It's really good for us.
Yeah.
It's really good for you. It's really good to have a blank page or a free mind, because things come from it. Or painting. I just was painted last weekend. That was one of the most interesting. Thousands of people painted me on Sky Arts. And if you want to look at them, just go to hashtag MyPAOTW. And that's one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me, because there's so many different kinds of paintings of me. It's bizarre.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It's really, honestly, it's one of the most bizarre but very fun things I've ever done in my life, and I never thought I would do it. So I would never have probably done it if it wasn't for this.
Oh, I love the idea of that. That sounds fantastic. And if people want to go and watch the yoga classes that your wife's doing, how do they do that?
She is a Fierce Grace yoga instructor. So just go to Fierce Grace, I think it's .com, and her name is Thule, and she does about 3 a week.
Okay, cool, excellent. Well, we're just waiting for so I get a minute more of you. I think we're just waiting for Rose McGowan to come in from Mexico. So we've got, you know, a minute to share something else. Your hair.
It's gone, right? It's gone mad.
Your hair. It's not bad, actually. I think it's a good haircut.
I've had it cut by Thule once, which was about 3 weeks ago. But
yeah, I think it's looking cool, isn't it?
I feel, yeah.
Is she there? Oh, cool. Well, look, Rankin, thank you so much. Oh, I lost you in the last second.
It's all right.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to talk to you.
Lots of love. Bye-bye.
I'm proud of our book together, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks, Rank.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
She'll just tap through it a second.
Oh, do we have to? Hello, everyone. Are we still live?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hi, everyone. Please stay and listen to Rose. We're just about to get her to join us. Isn't Rankin just adorable? He's been the most amazing person to work with. He's a great friend now. And if you ever get the chance to be photographed by him, he is very special. He really does understand. You know, it's a season to your soul, but it's also, his team are amazing. It's great fun to go and have the whole experience. You know, we used to go and get hair and makeup done. We'd have a bit of a dance. There's, you know, lots of music going on, and you end up with these amazing photographs. So if you go to the www.letsreset.com, then you can see a number of the photographs. You can see the new ad campaign. We'll put that up there tonight that we've done with Clear Channel, that you'll see an outdoor at the moment. And that's just amazing. You know, we really want to encourage all businesses to reset, you know, to put well-being at the heart of what they're doing, so that we can really, you know, create much kinder cultures. This week during Mental Health Week, we're talking about kindness. And, you know, it's so important that we're able to do that. Of course, we need to link it to commercial outcomes. And that's a really important part. We heard, there's Rose there. Rose, can you just ask to, what you need to do, Jess?
To be live again.
Can you just request to be live again, please, Rose? Jazz can help us. Perfect. Thank you.
This should be coming through now.
So Rose is going to just join us now. Hi, Rose.
It's just waiting.
She's just about to come through now. Stay with us, everyone. Hello. Through? Hello, Rose. Stay with us. I don't know how many of you have listened to Planet 9. I've listened to it a lot of times over the last few days since she premiered it. It's the most beautiful album, and to talk about well-being and just to get some spiritualness inside you. So I really urge anyone to download it. We are still waiting for Rose to join us. I'm sure she will in a second.
She's just texting me.
Oh, she's just texting. I think she's got a bit of a signal failure, but we'll get her back in just a second. It says, okay. We're just trying to get that, but I'll just carry on. So today, I'll tell you, we've got their Rose McGowan there at the top.
Thank you. So request not sent. Rose, send it one more time and I'll click it through. Okay, I'm going to add you now. So it says waiting, it says connected.
Yay! Hi. Let me put my...
Hi, Rose.
Hello. I'm good. How are you? How's my volume? Is it okay?
It's just fabulous. Thank you. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. You look amazing.
Thank you. Mexico, the humidity is actually quite good for my skin. It makes me look like, you know, not like, well, when I was in New York, hi, everybody. I'm Rose McGowan, by the way, before we launch into skin and humidity. That's the next thing. Hi, Suki.
Hello. Gosh, it's so lovely to see you again. It's been a little while, but thank you for joining me today. I so appreciate it. You know, we've been exchanging texts and chat during this time, and you have been, I was just reflecting on it, you have been so busy over the last few years. You know, most of us dream about maybe writing a book, maybe producing an album, but you know, you have written your NYT best-selling book, Brave, which is literally awesome. You've made this amazing album. You've directed a film that was in the Sundance Grand Jury Prize nominated director. You've produced and directed and starred in documentary. You've also fought a bunch of bad guys and some bad women. You've done a cultural reset. You know, you've just done so much, and we've got like 30 minutes to talk about all of that stuff.
Okay, great.
So, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. I want to start by talking about Planet Nine, because for me, you know, it's beautiful and it absolutely has well-being at the heart of it. Tell me how it came about.
Well, I actually wrote my book Brave and recorded Planet Nine at the same exact time.
Oh, wow.
And I also shot all the visuals for Planet Nine, which haven't come out yet. There's a visual component of it, of the album. And so I had this incredible workload for like 3.5 years. And I did that because I knew after I was done fighting the bad guys and bad women, if you're ever done, that I would have no Hollywood career. I would have nothing. Like when I directed Dawn, my movie, I wanted there to be my own voice. Hear me?
Rose, I'm just losing.
Is it bad?
Signal. No,
is my Wi-Fi bad?
Yeah.
Shit. How is it now?
It's okay. Maybe. Yeah,
bad?
That's a bit better. Try again.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I am in the jungle. It doesn't look like it, but I'm in the Yucatan Peninsula, and the Wi-Fi, believe it or not, in the jungle is not very good. So you're going to have to hang in with me. Don't look at it. Just hear the phone if you want to not be annoyed by blurry images of me, and I'm sorry. So yeah, I wrote the book Brave and recorded Planet Nine simultaneously. They go together, really. It's almost like Planet Nine is the happy reward for going through Brave, because Brave is tough at times. You know, it's a book that gets you brave at the end, but you have to go through a lot with me before you get there. And it's like just like how you have to go through a lot in your own life to get brave, right? It doesn't. Yeah. Everyone always assumes to be brave, you're just brave. But that's not how it works. You have to be scared and work through it every time, and it's a pain. But I wanted and needed something beautiful and something to heal. Is it bad still?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
To heal my trauma, really. And I just instinctively went to art and creativity. And I had never produced an album before. I didn't have contacts. I had no idea what to do. And what I did was just the next right thing. I would just figure out the next step in making an album. And I found these incredible collaborators in France, and they didn't understand my lyrics, so it was fine. They couldn't say anything. It was my music anyway. And finally they understand better English now, and they're like, oh, we get what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And what I wanted was knowing that if this album, because I mixed it on a special frequency called, it's a 432 hertz, instead of traditional music mixed on a 440 hertz. And the legend is that 432 hertz actually massages the left and the right brain. And so it kind of makes you feel like, almost kind of like you've taken a pill to be high, but you never had to take a pill to be high. It's just the music.
Well, it is quite extraordinary, because you said to me the first time, put it in, you know, earbuds in and just listen to it. And I remember I kind of listened to it quite late at night, and it was just an amazing experience for me. And I kind of then was in a state of going, am I awake or am I asleep? And it was just lovely. And I felt really refreshed. Yeah, absolutely. And there was this, I was just looking at your comment feeds. There's so many lovely ones. But one of the people said, thank you, Rose, for giving us your soul to heal ours. You know, and I think, you know, you've been through so much, haven't you? And, you know, we're not going to go through all of that now. But I think, you know, one of the lines that you say is, think who wins if you are quiet. And you have not been quiet. You have spoken out. You have, you know, which has been an extraordinary thing to do. And even now, and particularly in the last few months, as Weinstein has quite rightly been taken to justice on this. But how have you been brave enough to do that? How have you brought yourself to continue to fight?
Sometimes I just think I'm a freak. Like it defies kind of all logic, but I think I've always kind of been the same. It's just that when I shaved my head, people could hear the words coming out of my mouth. And I knew what I was setting, you know, I was working towards steadily taking him down for years. And the thing is like, and again, that's why I created Brave, Planet Nine. I had to write my way out of Hollywood, which I call a cult because I grew up in one and I would know. I wish it wasn't, but it is.
Which is extraordinary. For those people that don't know, you grew up in a cult and then you left when you were about 10, is that right?
Right. But, you know, and everyone says the word cult and they get scared and it sounds scary. And it is scary. There are a lot of scary things. In the one I grew up in, it was like a hippie commune. There were utopians. Unfortunately, it got really weird. But I got a lot of great stuff out of it. For me, it was a lot harder when I went to America because I got sent to a military school at 10 on a military base from a hippie commune where I'd never heard English really spoken or seen big cars or seen orange cheese, any of that stuff. But, you know, so it was always going to be a weird path for me. And I'll be honest, even in the group I grew up in, I was fighting them all the time. I lit their barn on fire. They had a wall of Bibles. I lit that on fire. I just was like, no. And it was from such an early age, I realized that if you give yourself away every single time to make someone else more comfortable, if they're like, did you, like for me, I would get the question all the time, have you let God into your heart? And I would literally lay there at night with my chest, imagining it open. And I'd be like, nope, nothing came. So I would, when they asked me the next night, I would say, no, not today, but I'll try tomorrow. And I would like get the crack across the head. And I was like, but if I say, and my sister was like, just say yes. It'll be.
Yeah. But
yes,
you couldn't
to make else more comfortable. Then I'm losing myself. And that's how we slip away from who we are. I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, but you know, I get that initially you really wanted to do something, but what enabled you to just make that, because you must have known that it was going to cut you off from Hollywood and you'd have loads of people supporting you and the Rose Army is amazing, but you would also have a lot of people being really horrible to you. What it gave you the strength to be able to cope with the people being horrid when you knew what you were saying was right?
Well, I had, because Weinstein actually paid off the press, a lot of journalists all over America and the world to trash me and disregard me as a drug addict, a crazy woman, a whore, you know, the standard playbook that they do for anybody that comes forward about sexual assault, whether they're known or unknown. It's like you can go to the page 37, oh, here's what they're going to do today. And you're like, but then the sad thing is when people join in, when people believe it. And so it wasn't for me. I was so used to being hated in a way for so long that I was like, well, I might as well give you a reason to hate me. And I might as well help a lot of people while I can. Because I do have a special weird superpower. I don't know what it is exactly by name, but I can cut through the noise and I do it effectively.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And
thing to do. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to come back. Yeah, I just lost the last. Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm sorry.
I just lost the last bit of that.
Okay, I don't know what I said,
okay.
But hi.
You know, you were just, it's fine. You were talking about, you know, how you just managed to be strong enough to keep going, even when people were being horrible to you.
Well, I'll be honest. I think at one point in the whole thing, I think I had now what I know to be a nervous breakdown. Yeah. And I don't know who could have survived it. No. What they do with people like me is kill us. And they drive us to die. And they drive us to commit suicide. And that's what they were trying to do. And my brain at one point did just snap under the pressure. And of course, I happened to be on the Stephen Colbert show when that happened. But it was after a series of attacks and just, it was so intense that people don't really know what it's like to have an app on your phone. And if you touch it, the world yelling at you, like their thoughts. And so even if you don't touch the Twitter app, you can still, when things are going viral, and it was global for like 2.5 years. And the reason I made this album, the reason I made Planet Nine was because I knew that period was going to be hard for a lot of people, not just me. that it was going to trigger a lot of people to think about things they'd never thought about before or had shoved down.
Yeah.
You know, and so it wasn't just me, and this is kind of my gift to the world of like, I can help make you feel better because this is what made me feel better.
Yeah.
But the strength to go on, there's no option. What's the option?
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to be one of the ones that survives.
Well, you absolutely are. And, you know, when you really kindly agreed to be part of my book, Let's Reset, you know, you said it fitted really well into you because you have reset, you know, you talk about culturally reset. And, you know, share with everyone what you mean by that, because we've had a lot of conversation about this.
Yeah, cultural reset was my goal. It was always my goal. Me Too kind of kicked off about a week and a half or two after the big New York Times expose article on Weinstein came out 3 years ago now, or not, a little under 3 years. And that kicked off, but my goal was always, and I've been tweeting it since before then, was to cause a cultural reset. I wanted, it's almost like if you can shift the tectonic plates underneath your feet, but they're thought plates. So I wanted like people's thought plates to kind of collide. And the thing is when you make people's thought plates collide, they get mad. They're not happy about it. They're like, you're kind of scrambling their brain. And you're kind of, what I was doing was glitching the matrix. And I was forcing a cultural reset because I got to the point where it was like, I kind of added up years of the public having a lot of thoughts for me. And I was like, guess what? I've got some thoughts for you. Ultimately, take your medicine. You're going to get smarter. We can get through this together. Let's go. But it was extraordinarily difficult. And I'm in a good place now because I guess what, like 9-10 weeks ago, he was put in prison, although I hear he's in the hospital because he's too scared to be in general population. He's always faking something so he can be in the hospital. But in quarantine, which is very hard and in a lot of ways, not, but for me, like I actually feel safe except for the specter of death outside. I feel safer because people can't get to me for once.
Yeah, that must be quite nice actually for you. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you're so constantly looked at and judged, but also, you know, today, this is so lovely. Everyone's saying, we love you, Rose. They're saying such wonderful things.
I love you.
Just, you know.
I know, I get that, you know, and the people I communicate with on like DM wise, like on Instagram, they usually have like 43 followers or something like that, you know, like, and it's the real people, the true people. I get a lot of questions from reporters like, what celebrities have supported you? I'm like,
yeah.
What would make you think I would want their support?
Yeah, that's just like.
Or anybody from there. Like, That's not even the real thing. But like, what I've seen is because when the articles came out and when I was really, you know, having to go hard, people like texted me or DM'd me like their deepest, darkest, intense. And it was like, it was just, because people were being triggered and it was opening up. They're like, I've never told anybody this before, but I'm telling you. And it was a lot to be the receptacle of, and at the same time have a lot of trauma. It's hard to push them, you know, it's hard to change the world and cause a cultural reset when you're also the person in trauma.
Yeah, and you can't do that.
Like,
yeah, of course.
Well, I did do it, but it was hard. And that's what almost killed me. But the thing is, I've gotten so much support. And what's been interesting is that the tone of the DMs over time, they've grown and people are healing and they're starting to heal. And they're like, the tone of the DMs now is more in the growth healing part rather than the initial pain part.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get things from people where something just happened. Yeah. But overall, I've really seen a lot of growth and a lot of healing and a lot of people like, even like men I get, you know, saying like, I wrote something nasty about you 2 years ago. I've since gone deeper into your interviews on YouTube, whatever it is, and I apologize, that wasn't right. So there is a lot of, and that's great. And that's, you know, one of the great things, sorry to keep talking, but one of the great things when all the news kicked off was a group of men that I didn't really know, but I knew one of them, and he said they sat down with each other and they all talked about times where they'd pushed the girl too far, and they all talked about how they could be better, and they all talked about different ways that they needed to heal their own stuff that had happened to them, you know, stuff like that. And I think that's really, really incumbent, because if so many women, especially women, are being raped and children, then either there's a lot of ghost rapists out there or there's a lot of rapists out there. Now, I'm not talking Harvey Weinstein level rapists, but I'm talking the more casual date like situation where you do push too far. And there are a lot of, it's amazing when I say some things on Twitter and they're like, what, I can't flirt anymore? And I'm like, ugh.
I know. But it is great because you have properly made people change the way that they think, work out, you know, in the workplace, what is acceptable, what isn't acceptable, and, you know, how we can work and be brilliant together and innovative and creative.
Yeah.
We don't need all the other stuff going on.
We really don't.
No. Just
because imagine what kind of life you could live if we just got to be free humans without all the baggage of, say, woman, or without all the baggage of man or anything. Any label comes with historical baggage.
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah, I agree. One of the things we talked about when we last met was being 10% better. And that's really stuck with me. I love, and I use it all the time and in our training.
Wonderful.
I use it because it always feels difficult to, you know, to really change or be brave. But
well, it sounds huge.
Yeah, you know, but 10% better, I think, you know, all of us can be that. And I've been thinking during the lockdown, you know, I don't have to feel amazing every day, but I can just feel 10% better, or I can try something and try and, you know, improve just by 10%. How did you get to think about that?
Well, the real story involves something that's legal in California. I was sitting on my couch one night, and I was just thinking, and I was thinking, like, everyone's always saying be a better person, but how? We don't have a roadmap to that. It sounds enormous. Like, does that mean I have to change everything? And then I thought, like, also the way I raised myself, because I was like a homeless kid, right? When I was 13, and I then basically lived on my own after that, and I didn't know how to raise myself as a human, as a girl, as a woman, whatever. But what I did do was invent the better version of me, who was 10% better, who was smarter, faster, thought more deeply, thought about things in a really complex, I think, around looking at things. Also, just in any situation where I needed to, like, called on me for morality, you know, and sometimes I fail like anybody, but I was like, I think, like, what would my 10% better version of me do in this instance? And I would just imitate it. And then I kind of forgot about that, like the little 10%. But I was sitting at home, you know, like 6 years ago when I started all this stuff and Brave and Planet Nine. If you have every level of consciousness and they can improve by 10%, it doesn't mean the person at the bottom of the consciousness level, and I'm sure I'm somewhere in the middle, you know, is going to be all of a sudden 100% like a great human. But if we can annoy them enough to even change, to like, even when someone tweets at me something nasty about sexual harassment or sexual assault, I'm like, well, at least the guy's thinking about it. He's thinking about it enough to say something to me. It's upset him enough. Or the woman, it's upset them enough. So the thought has had to go into their head, or the thought of thinking differently about a lot of things has had to go in their head. It agitates them. But that's okay. If we can get 10% better from every level of consciousness, we'd all drive faster on the road and get to our destination quicker. It's quite simple.
Yeah. You talked a little bit earlier on about your, you know, mental breakdown, the challenges that you've had. And you know, when I tell the story to people, or when they read the book, I mean, it's like better than any movie. You could never imagine your life, let alone it being actually your life. How have you been looking after your own well-being more recently, but particularly during lockdown?
Right. Well, one of the things is that I think it's really important to acknowledge that a lot of people don't have the luxury of sitting or being reflective and all that. So if we do have that luxury, because I'm saying there's a lot of people out there that can't afford their baby formula or can't afford their rent, especially in America, there's zero safety net, right? This is a disaster. This is a human scale, like an epic disaster. There's food lines that are like 3 kilometers long, and that was a week after a lockdown. You know, so it's really a scary time. But if we do have, like I do and you do right now, the luxury of being okay, not having to buy baby formula or like, where's my next rent coming from? I'm okay for like a year. I've lost all my jobs for this upcoming year, but I'll work it out. I trust it'll be okay. But I think then if we do have that luxury, then it is incumbent upon us to go inside and see how we can be 10% better. And one of the things I'm doing is just, if I feel sad, just let it cry. If I freak out about the state of the world, let it out. It's like leaking tears and then it stops. You know, a lot of people are very afraid of emotion, especially rage. And rage covers pain in my in my opinion, in my experience. You know, when I get very upset about something, afterwards I usually start crying because it's like a release, right? But it's like a thunderstorm. And so it's like we're going to go through a lot of different emotions in one day. And we're not going to have anything really to distract us other than the phone or the computer or something like that. But I do, I'm actually focusing more in business. I'm going to take this 2-day brand building course starting tomorrow. I'm trying to get my business house in order right now because I got a lot of the creative stuff in order, ready to go. But it's about, you know, messaging, as you know, all that stuff. And I was raised in Hollywood, so what do I know?
Yeah. No,
I have marketing teams doing it for me, so I have to figure this stuff out now on the other side myself.
Yeah, and you know, look, part of this is about raising the profile of you. If there are anyone out there that like to work with you as an agency, you know, they can get in touch. They can get in touch via me for you or directly DM
that'd be
you.
great. I want to shoot a lot of campaigns. I shoot a lot of visuals, and I do a lot of photography, and that's stuff I really want to get into. So thank you for that shout out. And Brave, people are asking on there, you can get Brave on Amazon, but I really recommend the audiobook. It got voted Audible's top 10 of the year. Yeah, it was voted Audible's top 10 of the year, which was out of like 770,000 titles. I was like, whoa. So that was amazing. So get it, like you can hear me, I'll spend time with you. It'll be like us hanging out. And then Planet 9, you can get on any platform where you get your music. Just put in Planet 9 and Rose McGowan. And I do suggest, like Suki said, like shutting your eyes, putting on your headphones the first time you listen to it and in the dark and just go away. Just 38 minutes, have like this great meditation and have this great experience. And then after that, there's even some ones you can dance to. You can do anything you want.
Yeah, and that's cool. And, you know, the book that Let's Reset, we're just doing a bit of a pitch now. I don't mean to do this, but the book Let's Reset, you can get on Amazon. Our campaign, so your visual is in the outdoor campaign that we're doing with Clear Channel. Okay. It's all over London. It's going to be national this week for Mental Health Week to reset the workplace. So we've got 3 minutes left. So I'm just going to ask you, what's the one thing that businesses can do that's the most important thing that they can do to reset the workplace?
I would say the most important thing they can do to reset the workplace, and you have to understand, I have not been in a lot of regular workplaces, so I don't really know how structurally they work. I've heard of human resources departments. That was not ever anything that was in my world. But I think the biggest thing to do is more like men at work or anywhere. If you hear someone kind of slagging off a woman or saying something certainly about race or anything like that, but especially it's like a kind of derogatory or like inference, you know, just be like, why would you say that? And make them think about it. I think also like just listen and don't automatically, you know, it could be a straight male, doesn't matter, anybody. Give them the honor of listening, and that to even come forward is so difficult. Like 0.05% of claims are false. So yeah, you know, just listen and take action, because who wants cancer at their workplace? No one. And you know what? Yeah, sometimes it hurts to have to make the one bad person go, but guess what? You get to let someone good in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, Rose, it has been so lovely to talk to you again. You're the most inspiring woman. I know we all adore what you're doing. We're so proud of everything that you're doing for us. I love Planet 9. I urge everyone to listen to it, to read your book, but also, you know, to be kind to yourself. You know, that's what you've taught us, is to speak out, be 10% better, be kind to yourself. And then, you know, just to share, as you've shared your soul with us, and we're enabled to share our souls with other people. And we can reset life, we can reset ourselves, and we can reset the workplace. Thank you, Rose.